Welcome to J House, where we interview people we admire who have developed skills and created cool things. We want to learn from their experiences to inspire us in our lives.
Isaac and I are so excited. We're learning today from Stacey Harkey about racism. Stacey, for 8 or 9 years, was a part of the cast of Studio C, which is a family-friendly comedy sketch group. What did you think about Studio C? We would watch those things all the time.
It's just so, it's something that's funny that you can just watch as a family always.
Yes. Yeah, we definitely have some of our favorites. And recently, the original cast of Studio C broke off, and Stacey is one of the co-founders of JK Studios, which now is a YouTube channel. They're putting out all kinds of incredible family-friendly comedy content, and we're just huge fans. And Stacey, thank you so much for taking the time to hang out with us today.
Thank you so much for having me. Such glowing praise. I'm honored. Isaac, I'm gonna have you write our slogans and stuff. You nailed it.
Well, I was telling Isaac, we've been blessed to have the chance to meet you in person at different events and different conferences. And you always have this just extreme positive energy. You always make us feel so welcomed and accepted, and there's an authenticity. And so as this topic came up, we're saying, who would we want to bring into our home? Who would we want to sit down and ask our sincere questions to and discuss this topic? You were at the top of that list. We want to learn from you. We want to hear your perspective. And so thank you for being willing to talk about this with us.
No way. Thanks for having me. I really, really, really appreciate it. Seriously, we're going for change. We're trying to make the world a better place, right? So I appreciate it.
Tell us a little bit about yourself, where you're from, your family, and general background.
Okay. All right. So I am from Dallas, Texas, born and raised in the suburbs of Dallas. I love laughing, still do. I grew up really shy, actually, which is a kind of surprise to most people. But I grew up playing soccer. I loved music. I eventually got into band. Yeah, I got Studio C started, and it just took off, and then here we are with JK Studios.
So what's one of your favorite skits you've done?
We're getting into the hard questions quick. So we have over 800, maybe 900 now sketches. I think one of my favorite sketches to do is the fencing sketch. And it's where we're fencing, but then you slow it down and then you get to see what happens in between the fencing. And I'm such a big nerd because it was we're in medieval clothes. I'm jumping off of tables. It felt so cool. And I was felt so hardcore. And then I watched the sketch and I was like, I don't look hardcore. But there's also
no, I love that one.
Oh, you like that one? Cool.
One of my favorite skits is you and Mallory with your awkward encounters, it's the love romance.
Oh, you like that one?
And you have this awkward. I think that one is so funny.
Dude, so I wrote that sketch and I was really excited about it. We had that sketch got a little spicy. We had a lot of people were really angry about that sketch. They were angry because it was Mal and I were a couple. And I'm black and she's white. And people were just that's not okay. And I was like, what year is it?
What?
What is this?
Wow.
Isn't that wild?
Well, there's the perfect transition into a discussion on racism.
Oh, right on topic.
What experiences did you have growing up where you were treated different because of your race?
Even just walking around the neighborhood is I've walked by people on sidewalks that have walked off the sidewalk and into the grass to not have to walk past me on a very wide sidewalk.
Mm-hmm.
I know what it's like to be perceived as something dangerous or someone dangerous just for things I can't control. I've had people tell me they could never date a black guy. You know what I mean? And I've had my siblings have been told that, they start dating, my brother dated a girl and her parents disapproved purely because of my brother's black. You know what I mean? I was always a nerd. I always kind of excelled in academics, and always people were constantly telling me I was only in these academic spaces because of my skin color and not by virtue of just being competitive or something or being good at it. It was always a surprise when people found out I was good at band, but they were but you what? Just a couple months ago, my dad had an encounter with the police where he was leaving my sister's birthday party, and they ordered him out of the vehicle. They pulled him over and ordered him out, and that's not normal. Mm-hmm. And he's like, what's going on, officers? And instead of having a discussion, they threw him down.
What?
They handcuffed him. My dad fortunately, my dad only escaped with tons of scrapes and bruises. He had to get physical therapy for his back. They just let him go eventually. I mean,
that's crazy.
There's nothing. It's like stuff like that. It's like, these are like, this is very personal, you know?
Yeah.
I never really realized, like, you being black changes so much for you. Like, it's so much different for you.
Takes so much. It is not easy and is not natural for us as human beings to just slide into someone else's perspective and see things through their lens. It is an 800-step journey, I feel like, to get to that point. It is an 800-step journey to get to the point of saying, like, oh, I see why this is something that's painful for you.
Mm-hmm.
What do you wish others would have done to support you in those times?
I just wish my just well-meaning white friends, I just wish there had been a little bit more support, I guess, in these situations. When people did say something negative or when they thought they were being funny and cracking an insensitive joke, and people could tell, I kind of wish my friends would just, I mean, everyone's voice has such influence and power, and especially coming from another peer, checking something like a racist comment or an insensitive remark goes a long way.
Mm-hmm.
The common courtesy of just like listening, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Or just like if someone's expressing something, to like truly try to listen, to understand and not to like debate them. Because I see a lot of times, especially when I was just wrecked this week, I was at such a low, I'd be like crying and someone would be like, but this, and I'm like, man, it doesn't matter what it's about. That's just like so rude.
Mm-hmm.
I'm having a really hard time. And your first thing to just tell me is that I have no reason to be having a hard time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think listening and I think sympathy just is great human traits that go a long way for any topic.
Yeah.
It's got to be pretty hard that people don't listen to you as much or trust you because of your color.
It is tough, but I think I try to have patience because I think the human condition is we tend to, you know, we have these amazing 5 senses we use to take in information in the world around us, and we tend to heavily lean on that information. So sometimes if something isn't visible, and I think we as Christians get that too, where it's like, if you can't see it and you can't touch it and you can't taste it, it doesn't exist, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we get that all the time. And it's like, no, actually, there's a lot of things out there. There's like things like faith, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And there's things like hope and love that you can't touch and you can't taste, you can't see, but it's like powerful. And I think prejudice is like that too. I think there are a lot of things on the opposite end of that spectrum, not so positive, very horrible, that are like not quite tangible, especially if you're not experiencing it.
Sure.
So I think it's easy to call prejudice and racism Bigfoot and be like, yeah. It only exists because, you know, people love talking about it or they love the attention or, you know, there's like a lot of different factors.
Yeah. What advice would you give to me or other kids to help us be more aware and sensitive about racism?
You know what? I honestly think one of the biggest things that helps people on that 800-step journey of sliding into someone else's perspective is just having diverse people around you, which is so hard to control. You know, it's like, am I expecting you to just go find a black friend and be like, I need you in my life, you know? No, don't do that. But going in with a willingness to learn is really important.
Stacey, I think it's so beautiful how you've described this 800-step journey.
It's a long one.
I think a big part of what this week has taught me is how far I am from being in your shoes and how dismissive I've been and how I want to continue down that journey. What are other things that you would recommend we do to continue to take those steps?
I do really think like education is important. And I think you can get that. So that opening up to different perspectives, you can get that from books. You can get that from maybe if you're like on social media, following content creators of color, just to get different perspectives, exposing yourself to different perspectives, people from different walks of life.
There's a young readers edition of the book, Just Mercy. And I watched that movie this last night. It's free right now on Amazon Prime and a lot of other places. And we're ordering it right now, the Young Readers Edition for Isaac. I'm excited for him to read that and the conversations we'll be able to have around those experiences.
Yeah, it's crazy how much effort it takes, but it's also crazy how accessible some of these things are.
Yeah.
And it's really heartening to know people are like taking advantage of these resources. In light of the incidences and the things this week, I was talking to my white friends where it's like, man, we need to be having these patient conversations to help people, take that 800-step journey. That conversation that's like, oh, have you considered this? And the conversations that are like, but just patient conversations.
What do you wish your white friends were sitting around and talking about with their friends and their families during this time when there is a lot of discussions happening about racism?
First off, love the support that I'm seeing out there this is like the first time in like decades that I've felt that I'm not in this fight alone, that it's not just me and my community.
Yeah.
And it's like tons of people coming from all over to support us, different countries even. But I would love for white people to be more okay with talking to, if grandpa says something that is not right, I think it's okay to speak out against it.
Sure.
If you hear it wrong, I think it's okay to maybe correct it with right, or at least attempt to have a conversation, an open, understanding conversation that helps them start that journey to seeing a different perspective.
Is there anything else you want to share about racism?
The recent events has woken up a lot of America to like what's happening. And some people are just jumping in, and I want to say, welcome to the fight. Welcome to the fight for equality and justice and making this country a better place for everyone. Because when we oppose police brutality, it isn't just for Black people. We oppose it for people that can't defend themselves in court, or for lower economic statuses, or anyone. Opposing police brutality we do it for the good apples in the police force, the police that are trying to do what's right. I think welcome to the fight. It's been a week and it's exhausting. And I know people are feeling already like tired with the news. And so this fight that people might have jumped into 7 days ago, this has been passed on to me like a family heirloom. This is something I've always had to be struggling with my whole life. And I feel like I've just taken the burden from my dad. He's taken from his dad.
Yeah.
And it is very tiring. It's okay to take care of yourself, but we need you out there, and we need your voice. And your voice, you may not think it's important, posting on social media or talking to your friends, but it makes a world of a difference. It really means everything.
We just love you. We appreciate you. And thank you so much for being so honest and vulnerable and being a part of our life. We just appreciate you. Thank you.
You guys are great. I really appreciate you reaching out and wanting to do this. I was talking to my sister, and I was like, listen, I will do everything in my power to make sure this country is safer for your children. And I appreciate you giving me this platform and making it a point to talk about.
If you liked what you heard, we'd love for you to leave a podcast review.
We're so grateful for the reviews that we have received. For example, BJOH5539 wrote, "The best content for kids and families. I love the idea of using entertainment to teach. And these podcasts have the perfect balance between learning and entertaining families of all age groups. I also love that they have videos on YouTube that you can watch to enhance the experience. Highly recommend."
To follow along on our family's adventures, connect with us at J-House Vlogs on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram.
Thanks for listening. J-House out.